Hi everybody, it's Adrian here. Welcome to this new Artist versus Camera episode. Today I wanted to talk about some dream that I had like a few hours ago, right? I was taking this unusually long nap and man, it's been a long time since I've been taking naps. But anyway, so I had this dream where I was on a beach or something like that. It looked more like a park in the middle of like a city, but it was like all sand, and people would come there and just sit down on some towel or something, like the same way they would sit on a park, like a green park with like all grass and stuff. But this was different. So there's this moment where I'm gonna actually switch to my other screen, and this is the being that I saw in my dream. It's a bird looking like it's a big bird, right? It's I'm actually not sure how to describe this, but I had to really wake up and sketch it instantly. I'm thinking of like making this in 3D, like sketching this in VR or something, so I can show you more accurate versions of the everything. But sorry, I had to do this real quick so I don't forget about the details, because there were so many things that grabbed my attention about, like, for instance, when we were in this area, right? We're right there at the park at that stuff, and I forgot actually what we were doing there, but because there's so many things that happened before we got to that place. Anyway, we're standing there somehow, like we're walking around, we're looking for something, or I forgot. There's this pile of things. I'm not sure if there were rocks or just dumpster type of things that people threw in there and were being waited for to be picked up. I don't know, but all of a sudden, all over our heads, there's this very cool looking bird kind of passing by, like here. It has these type of colors. It's like mostly black, with some hints of like oranges and yellows and all that stuff. So it looked really, really cool. I remember some red color as well, like very accent colors, and we go like, you turn your head, you go like, whoa, have you seen that? And then when it passed us by, that's when you hear this noise. It's like an impact noise, but like if some plastic something fell onto this little mountain of stuff. And this is not big, by the way, not too big. It's like, this is what a person would look like. All right. So we were standing like next to it, in front of this, actually, like here. All right. And this bird comes at us. Oh, sorry, you're not seeing the screen. So about like this size. All right. This is how big it is. And we were standing here. This is where we are. And the bird kind of comes at us, and we're like looking at it, and we go like, whoa, dude, have you seen that? And then you hear the boom kind of stuff. This bird was headed somewhere. Like in the dream, it felt like it was going home. But then when you looked closer at the bird, you saw something was off. Something felt off. I didn't know exactly what, but there was something that was not quite there for it to be like a normal bird. And what I realized when this thing fell down, which is okay here in this painting, the bird is right here, right behind this big pile of garbage or whatever this was. I forgot, because I didn't pay much attention to it, but it didn't feel like rocks. It was a mixture of like green stuff, like vegetation, and I don't know, maybe a wheel and some computer parts and like stuff that people threw in there. It's almost like the dumpster of this area. And back there in the very distance, there were like people sitting down with their pets and their dogs running by and all that stuff. And then there's like buildings, as you can see here, there's like buildings. That's why I'm saying this feels like a central park that's like full of sand, no water, no nothing. And then on the very back of us, like, this is like looking in this direction, right? But if you look like this way now, this is what you see. So I'm gonna make it real quick, okay? Hope you don't mind. The park was no longer reaching that far into the distance, and there was like a little like vegetation, like some forest area, some, I don't know, maybe like a little road with some lights. And then there were some houses which you could see the roofs off over the top of these treetops. And yeah, it's like a tiny little neighborhood. That's where the first bird was headed, by the way. The one with the double tail kind of stuff in black color, red accents. It was headed over there. And that's where, you know, we're somewhere around here. That's where I'm standing. And this is where this bird kind of fell down. Because they did like this on the sky, right? Or that's what it felt like in a way. Yeah, and that guy falls over here. I quickly rush to see it. There's some more people with me, but they're kind of staying away. Like taking the right measures to kind of, you know, the safety measures. Just don't get too close to a thing that just fell from the sky. It looks like it's alive. And yeah, but look, I'm gonna tell you guys. First thing I noticed is this thing felt plasticky, but it was alive. So I got closer, like no hesitation. You know, I was like, it gave me like UFO crash kind of vibes, like some unknown thing from the sky fell right there, right next to you. Like you're following it through the sky, it's flying around, but then all of a sudden one of them crashes down right next to you. And you go investigate, you go figure out what it is. And when I saw it moving, like it was barely moving, but you saw it kind of like fighting to kind of get on his feet. Couldn't do it. It was exhausted. The creature was exhausted and looked incomplete. So let me explain. It looked incomplete because it was lacking all internal organs. It had nothing but a heart that looked artificial. And it was partially covered in feathers that were like this color, probably a little darker, but it probably has to do with the shadows and all that stuff. I'll render it further soon and you guys can see. But yeah, it had this kind of color, and I paid attention to the face because I don't know why, but at this point I'm like entering this over analytical mode. Like I'm with two other people that I think they were like some of my friends, but I can't really tell who they were. And I'm like, you guys are seeing this? You guys are seeing this? And okay, two eyes. So it has two eyes. The feathers are partially covering everything. Okay. The eyes look like, okay, round pupils. This yellow amber type of color. And then, oh, by the way, when I say two eyes, I mean on each side. So there's another pair on the other side, obviously. And when I paid attention to the rib cage was looking like, you know, if the sternum, and this is where the ribs meet the sternum, right? They were kind of interlaced in almost like a Lego type of way, like very efficient build of like plastic, like negative space, yeah, you know, this negative space filling in the gaps and everything. Like no nails, no screws, no nothing, all perfectly built, which is why it felt like so lightweight, so plasticky. I don't know. This felt like a drone. Like, whatever this being is, it's an abomination. This is an artificially made being that is like, they took a living being, they removed a lot of stuff, they completed it with some other things that don't belong to that body, and they made it efficient. So no wonder it was like looking exhausted and messed up and fucked up. That's when I was like, dude, these are like the beings in Hevenurion that are like of this kind of nature. You know, they have this tragic past. They are being used for something else. And I don't know where the other one was going, but when it was heading home, I assumed it was like, home means the place where it actually came from, which is like a lab or some industrial complex type of thing where they make these beings. But it gave me this drone vibes, you know, this drone vibe, which is, it feels bad. It feels like, poor little guy, like, look what they've done to you. And in fact, that's what I was repeating again and again in my dream as I was getting closer to this guy and investigating it further. This happened in about 5 to 7 seconds. Like the crash, me coming closer and saying out loud all these things. And I was like thinking, like, what have they done to you, man? What have they done to you? And this is what I saw, you know. This guy got even closer to me. This is like an attempt at representing the POV shot, like what I see. This is the ground, this is the floor, you know, full of sand. And I'm getting closer to this guy, like, come on, come here, come on. And he's like trying to follow me, but I would say I wasn't scared of, like, everybody was like taking the, you know, like safety distance, you know, like staying ahead, staying far from it and making sure it doesn't get too close to them. But I was not afraid. I was not scared. I was like really pitying this being and like trying to understand what the hell they did to it. We were trying to help. That's what we did. And again, this lasted for probably 20 seconds. That's what it felt like, at least in the dream. This being comes flying from the sky. First one passes by. The next one, which is this one, falls down to the floor in front of us, crashes mid-air, and boom. And you hear this kind of plasticky impact. And when I got to look closer to the face and everything, I got closer to investigate the face features and everything, and I saw the double eye kind of stuff, which you can see here. And the feathers and all these details. The beak was just like this. It felt like a little dinosaur, right? Like a little experiment. Someone did this with this guy. The ribs were like exposed, but no flesh whatsoever. The only thing I saw were like feathers, and maybe there was a bunch of flesh around here. Sorry, around here and here, but I would never tell because it was covered in feathers, and then all of a sudden there's no more feathers around here and around there. It's like patches of not even skin. I'm not gonna say skin because it wasn't skin, but yeah, dude, it was sad. And I saw the ribs were made of plastic and like optimized materials, you know, for flight and for lightweight kind of stuff. And what I realized is that this guy was lacking all internal organs. It was empty inside, man. I'm like, how the fuck does this guy stay alive? Like, and then I understood, oh, all right. They're like short-lived kind of beings. They don't have a long-lasting life, which is kind of ironic because if this was to be like a parrot or something like that, you know, parrots live like pretty long. But in this case, which again, it brought me back to Hevenurion. Like, it's exactly like those beings that I invented there. You know, those beings that I designed. Those beings that I designed that have like a short-lived lifespan, and they're basically consumed by their own, like, let's say, thirst of like that substance they're designed to seek. And this is more of the same. I don't know what these beings were designed for in my dream, but dude, it felt so real. Like I was there and I saw this poor being like tortured and like suffering. I didn't know what to do to ease him out, but I was trying to get him closer to me because he got up. He got up in the end and he was standing on his own and then started to walk around, and I'm like, you know, treating him as if it was a little dog, like, hey, come here, don't go, you know, come. And I was clapping. I remember I was clapping, like trying to get his attention, because I see in the distance there's like more people, and I don't want him to be bothered or to enter this, you know, panic state. And then I realized all the dogs in the park they were noticing me clapping and stuff, but this bird kept walking away. And I mean, it was pretty big, you know. It was like a very, very big dog, that kind of size. And that's when my sister was downstairs and she knocked the door. She hit the doorbell and I had to wake up. You know, first I heard the doorbell. I forgot what that was for me in the dream, but I was like, fuck it, you know, I'm gonna stay here. So I wanted to figure out what this being was about. And then my sister knocked again at the door. And I'm like, fuck, okay, now I really have to wake up. I woke up, I answered the door, and then I came back and I sat down and I started to instantly paint all of this, just so I don't forget about these details. The main key features are these. You know, there was one first bird that looked like this, and then the second one crashes in here, right behind this little mountain of garbage or whatever that was. And I see the face, you know, and I'm thinking it's dead. But then I look closer, it starts moving, it tries to move, gets back up on his feet, and I notice these details. And the little thing is confused, looks around, you know, right, left, doesn't know exactly what to do. It even hit my leg, you know, like with his head, like turning around and stuff. And I didn't panic, I was like, fine. I'm trying to follow the guy and see what he's about. And then, you know, I noticed these little details, you know, the feathers, the feather distribution, the flesh distribution. The guy looks empty, so I don't understand how it's still alive. Oh, I remember the feet were kind of dark, so I'm actually gonna try to figure that out right now. I'm gonna fix that in a second. And, you know, these feet are way more stylized than in the dream. In the dream, they were more like they had that membrane between the fingers, you know, like let's say if this is what a feet looks like. If this is what a foot looks like, they had this membrane. That's the way I remember it, at least. Or that's what it looked like in the distance. So, yeah, in a way they could be like marine creatures, you know, sea creatures too. So they're adapted for some aquatic medium. I don't know really, but dude, this was weird, man. I'm telling you. Poor feather coverage, visible skeleton. I can see the heart, the only organ. Yeah. And then of course it had this long tail too, but not, it was weird because it was like, sometimes it had it, sometimes it didn't. It felt more like this in a way. Almost like if this was a little chick, you know, like it was not a fully developed adult. And yeah, I don't know. But I got like vulture vibes from it, like this mass of like packed feathers and stuff, and then the little head, you know. you could see this, and then the feet. So I'd see this walking away. I'm actually gonna try to make it smaller, just so you guys can see. Oh, sorry. Just so you guys can see the size it had. So this would be a human being. All right. Kind of like this big, I would say. Yeah, something like this, you know? And that's it. This was a dream that I had. It was intriguing as fuck. I'm gonna keep exploring this. I loved it, and I hope you did too. So thank you so much for listening and watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode, but until then, please take care, stay creative, enjoy your time, and have a good one. Bye-bye.